Hey, this is Karen Hunter, and I am so happy to talk to this woman. Actually, I want to talk to everybody this season. I guess I'll call it a season. I want to talk to everyone about this topic who comes through the show. Because first of all, I want to know where people sit on this topic. But also, I think why we arrive at what we believe is super important, and it informs a lot about who we are as people.
Absolutely.
So let me welcome to the show Stephanie Humphrey, Tech Life Steph. Welcome to the Karen Hunter Show. Welcome to the Hub.
The podcast.
Yes.
I'm happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
Good to have you. All right. So I asked you if you would stick around, which I appreciate. First of all, do you believe in God?
Yes.
Are you a Christian?
Yes.
What does that mean?
That means that I believe that Jesus Christ died and was raised 3 days later.
Okay. Who told you that? Where'd you get this information?
My church.
Okay.
And the Bible.
All right. So was it something you were raised with, or did you come to it as an adult?
I was raised Christian, Baptist, but I don't know that I had been through enough at the time to appreciate what faith really means. And I think as an adult, my faith has become very, very strong. And I think my relationship with God has become personal where it wasn't before. I think it was sort of just a thing that sort of hung out there that you did on Sundays and that was it. But as I've grown and developed and gone through some stuff, my relationship with God has become very, very personal to me.
Was there a moment or something that happened that you can point to? Because, you know, when I think about the reason why I even want to approach this subject, because I believe a lot of us are in bondage around the notion of what is God and what is religion. And we have a large swath of people in the Black community who both feel that they've been lied to about God, that this Christianity is a white man's religion, which I don't believe. But how we are in relationship with it, I think we use it as tools and weapons against people. We use it to judge people, to denigrate folk. We use it to absolve ourselves of some things, to not hold ourselves accountable. And I just want to be raw with it and just put it out there. So was there something that happened that brought you to a place of understanding?
I think it was leaving my job in 2007. I was an engineer for a number of years and left to do this, and literally that whole
this being my
own thing, you know, Tech Life Steph, you know, and she wasn't even born then, but you know that began the journey, and it was a literal stepping out on faith that happened then, and there were just moments over this entire process that I did not have anything else to lean on, and leaning on my faith was what got me through those moments, what strengthened me, what supports me, what
does that look like? I mean, because I understand exactly what you're saying, right? But I think a lot of times it's like this kind of like, we do this, the Lord will provide, give it over to God. We do these things. We have these sayings, these mantras in our community that are not rooted in anything grounded for real. Like I'm not saying that people don't believe what they say when it comes out of their mouth, but it hasn't manifested. Because if that were the case, it'd be like 50 million Black millionaires.
Right. Absolutely.
If everything that we put manifested into something. So how does that show up?
I'll give you a good example, a recent example. I had been, this business, this freelance life, things get tight budget-wise, and I had been really struggling with the idea of using some savings for, to kind of get me to where I need to go bill-wise and things like that, and just really, kind of embarrassed because I didn't want to have to go back to my financial advisor and say, hey, I need to withdraw some more money, and feeling very fearful because I was using some of that to make an investment in my business, and this is my safety net. This had been this is all I have. Once it's gone, what's going to replace it, and literally to the point where I just broke down in tears. And you could believe what you want to believe, but he said to me in that moment, like, that's why I gave you this money. That's why I helped you, save it in the first place, and he also told me maybe you haven't reached that point where you can be comfortable because you haven't trusted me fully enough to use what I've already given you to get you through. And I heard that so clearly.
No, what did it sound like? Morgan Freeman?
No, it wasn't. It doesn't. The voice doesn't have a sound necessarily, but it's just the realization of those things is, in my mind, him speaking to me, and I just bawled for a good 15 minutes, and I was like, you know what, Lord, okay, and I sent that email to my financial advisor, and just haven't looked back, and that these things are the way you should be led because of the feeling afterward. I think we all know when we ain't acting right, and the guilt and the shame but we also know when we've been lifted and when a weight has been lifted and when and it just was so like, and then you go after that, you get 2 bookings for speaking engagements right the next day, and you get, you know what I mean, like that's not coincidence. I don't believe in coincidence.
Right.
Not, the universe just doesn't work like that. The universe works off of energy and Newton's laws and those things, and
so science as well.
I think he gave us that science. He wanted us to know a little bit of the universe. We still have no idea how it actually works. The amount of information we actually know about the universe can fit on my pinky nail, but he gives us the information he wants us to know about the universe, and he gave us math to explain how some things work and how some things relate to each other. And
so because you're an engineer,
Mm-hmm.
I forgot that just in that moment, but I also saw passion and something light up in your eyes when you started talking about the math and the science of it all, because that's your discipline.
And because it's so perfect. Like when you look at ratios in nature, like the ratio from your wrist from the top of your middle finger to your wrist is the same as from your wrist to your elbow, is the same as from your knee to your like that stuff don't happen by accident. The nature wasn't created so perfectly just because one atom exploded, 50 billion years ago. Like that's not even possible. So it's just like when you look at the math and just how elegantly it explains everything that happens to us in this universe, you can't deny that was given to us from somewhere.
Did you ever have a moment in your life or career where you doubted that there was a God, or that?
Never. I
never.
I never have. I tell you, because I just, I've had some issues in my life, in my childhood, and just rough life and death type things, and I just know I wouldn't be here without him. So
You say him and he.
I think that's just conditioning.
Right. Okay.
It's just a useful pronoun to.
But there are people that, when they think about God, there's a man with white hair and a beard that's in the clouds with cherubs, and there are these physical manifestations that we put on this being. But to me, like, I've kind of evolved to a place where, I look at God as the sum total of all of us,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like I see God in all of us, and I think, because we don't see God in all of us, allows us to treat one another the way we treat one another.
That's right.
And if we started, those of us who believe there is a God, to see that God is absolutely
everywhere
in all of us, I think it would shift how we
absolutely,
behave.
because it's an energy. Energy can neither be transferred nor destroyed. Energy can neither be created nor destroyed. It just gets transferred, and that's what he gave us, and that's what he is. The Bible says God is in you and you in him like 50,000 times, and there's a reason for that, because it's the energy. It's not the person. Jesus was a man at one point, a physical manifestation of a man, but God is the energy and the force that governs everything that we do.
I think God is a woman, because women have sons and children. We give birth to things. No, we do. Women give birth. We're the entity, and every being starts as an X chromosome in the womb,
Mm-hmm.
and women are XX. So it makes sense to me that God, the energy of God, is feminine.
Yeah,
we have it. That's why the world is effed up, because there's not enough women leadership.
That's right.
There's not enough women. And I'm not doing this feminist thing. I'm just talking about
It's
the
the
math
truth.
of it all.
I mean, the world is effed up because we're not respecting Mother Nature.
That's what I'm saying.
You know
Steph.
what I mean?
So take me back to little Steph. Little Steph.
Little tech life Steph.
Little tech life Steph. Your family, you were raised in Pittsburgh?
Yes.
Did you go to church every Sunday?
Not every Sunday, but
Was that
Sundays.
part of your?
It was a part. I was a junior usher. Had to stand there with my little powder blue shirt and my navy skirt and my stockings, and I
stockings.
know, and with the hand behind your back, and
Aren't you glad we stopped wearing
listen,
stockings and
I
slips?
couldn't, and a slip. Yes, a stocking and a slip. So I was involved because I'm from a very small community outside of the city of Pittsburgh called Rankin, Pennsylvania, and
Never heard of it.
yeah, it's tiny. If you've heard of Kennywood, in Pittsburgh, it's Pittsburgh's amusement park. It's pretty famous because it has a lot of old rides that are historic landmarks and stuff like that. We're right near there, and most people that know anything about Pittsburgh, you say Kennywood, I'm like, oh, I'm like, yeah, I live right near Kennywood. But it's a very, very small community. Most of the people there were related to me in some way, directly or indirectly. So the church was very communal in that way and familial in that way. So it just made sense that I would go and be brought up there and be baptized there and get my right hand of fellowship there and everything like that. So it was definitely a fixture. It was right across the street from my house, so I could always
convenient.
Exactly. So I could walk. You
couldn't complain.
If it was time for the junior usher board car wash, I could walk across the street and go back home and whatever. So it was something that was just a fixture and a source of stability for myself and for the community.
Do you think Black people rely too heavily on this thing? And you've read the Bible, I'm assuming, because you quoted something, so I think you read it.
I read it every day.
Do you think why do you read it every day, and what particularly do you read?
I used YouVersion, the app, and I just pick a plan. I typically on January 1st, I usually pick one 365-day devotional, and then throughout the year I'll just read different 7-day, 14-day plans based on whether they're like, do you want leadership skills from the Bible or whatever. I'll just kind of pick stuff, so I always have at least 2 or 3 plans going at one time, and then I did commit to reading the Bible in a year through the app as well. So we went from Genesis to Revelation, and but I do think people use religion in general as a crutch, and they wait on the Lord, and the Lord already told you faith without works is dead. So you gotta get to work, and I wish more people would understand that he's gonna meet you where you are, and so you have to move before he can move in you, because we sit around, well I'm just waiting on the Lord gonna send me everything I need, and he gonna provide, and typically everything you need is already there. You know what I mean? You just want it in a form that absolves you of having to do the work for it,
right? And
that's just not how it works.
Right.
That's just not how it works.
When I look at us, I get incredibly frustrated because it's like, man, what we've been through to be here. When I look around at all the successes, you come on the show monthly to talk about tech, and I have the guests that I have on. I'm like, my God, we have some amazing people doing some amazing things that people I've never heard of before, like incredible. And why aren't we further along?
I know.
I know. And it frustrates me because, like you said, we have everything, including capital. But for some reason, we get stuck. And so, I decided to do this kind of exploration, partially out of this. I read a book by Tom Burrell called Brainwashed. Oh. And Tom Burrell, used to be he owned the largest Black-owned advertising agency. And he talked about ways in which, advertising manipulated people to buy things, because that's, the goal of business.
That's right.
Is to, sell something to somebody for somebody to buy something. And you know about that even in tech, right? But why we think the things we think, like I was, processing it, primarily is to sell us something, And so once you realize that, then you have to take stock of, like, why do I believe the things that I believe? Who taught me how to believe that? Why, from skin bleaching to what, hair products. We disproportionately spend money on detergents. Why? Because we've been taught that we were dirty.
Right.
So if you're taught that you're dirty, then you got to prove to the world that you're not dirty.
Right.
So I'm going to buy all of the detergents
and bleach things to within an inch of their life.
Yeah. And it's crazy. So I need us to not be crazy, and I need us to get out of our own way so that we can actually excise all of the goodness that we come to the table with. And when I say we, of course I'm talking about Black people, but I feel like, if we get it, the world will be right. I feel that way. I don't know if I'm right about that, but I feel if we get this.
Well, we set the trends. And as we go, I think society goes. And, when you're talking about original man, like, it kind of is what it is. It kind of has to start with us, even though we've forgotten that and forgotten our role in society as that original man. But, I liken it. It's so funny. I was just having a conversation like this with a friend of mine this morning. I liken it to, the Mac. The movie, The Mac. I don't know if you've ever seen that. Yeah, I'm taking you way back.
In the day.
Yeah.
What you know about that, Stephanie?
I watched it for research purposes only.
All right.
But, but Goldie said, you get their minds, you got everything. And I don't know that we have been able to get from under that yet.
I try to be not blasphemous. So here's the thing, right? So you have people who are so wedded to this thing that if you say anything, they clutch their pearls and they're waiting for the lightning bolt. And the lightning bolt's never coming, right? So I say a lot of irreverent things sometimes just to let you know that your relationship with God has to be yours.
That's right.
You can't dictate it for anybody else. You can't tell me how I need to believe in God or how my walk is going to be.
It don't work that way.
And whether I use a cuss word or not, which I typically don't, but even that to me, it's like
I cuss all the time.
In Aramaic, what's a cuss?
Right.
So like we even get these things twisted. Oh, you're not a Christian if you curse, if you
wear nail polish. And
oh my God!
If you ain't got a prayer cloth on, you think what the
freak?
Jesus threw the rules out long time ago. Jesus said, "Love your Father with all your heart, your mind, and your soul, and love your neighbor as yourself." That's all he ever said.
2 commandments.
That's it.
That cover everything.
That's it.
What's so hard, Stephanie?
I don't know.
Why don't we get that?
People get locked into that Old Testament nonsense where you can't wear leather and polyester together because all the rest of that.
Is it because they're lazy, or is because it's easier to follow rules?
Oh yeah, structure gives people comfort. I think structure gives people comfort. And then you can lock those rules down and then turn them against the people that don't fit within the paradigm. But yeah, Jesus ain't saying none of that. You know what I mean? He hanging out with thieves and strippers and
strippers. They ain't have prehistoric strippers.
Well, yeah. Whores and all the rest of that, you know what I mean?
Mary was on the pole.
Right.
What was a biblical version of a pole back then?
I know. But he was kicking it with everybody. You know what I mean? And yeah, I think we take comfort in the rules because we don't have to think for ourselves. If we whatever the Bible say, even though it was written thousands of years ago, so you really can't translate it literally.
Right.
You know what I mean? There's a different time.
And the bottom feeders were all to keep people safe during a time when they had no refrigeration.
Exactly. Different
I can't eat that. Well, yeah, because pork in the desert could kill you.
Right.
Did they even have pigs in the desert? I don't know. They must have, because
it's like, we gotta figure out how to get past that and just move to those 2 commandments.
What's the craziest thing you've seen during your time on this earth as it relates to God?
Wow, that's a good question. The craziest thing. Oh, I read that article about there was some pastor in Africa that told the women they all had to get naked, and it was something so ridiculous, and they all did it. That was the thing. They were all like purifying themselves in the water, or Lake Minnetonka or something crazy like that. And I just remember that it was like this entire female congregation of women that was naked for this guy, and he like walked across them, or it was something so ridiculously ridiculous. Like I don't understand why people do that.
Well, I've learned this, no matter what religion we're talking about, the vast majority of people, so let's take Islam. Most people don't read Arabic. Right? Mm-hmm. Most people who practice the religion don't read the language in which the Bible, that Quran is written. Mm-hmm. So they are relying on somebody telling them what the book says. Most people who go to church can't tell you what's in that Bible because they've never cracked it. But they go to church every Sunday and they let the pastor, somebody tell them what's in that book instead of knowing for themselves.
That's right.
So the illiteracy or the ignorance is rampant, and people are constantly using phrases like the money is the root of all evil. Not in the Bible.
And nowhere
in the Bible
at all.
So you're repeating things that you heard somewhere, and you live your life by things that you have not yourself cast your eyes upon or understood it, because I'm sorry, I don't read Aramaic. I do know a little Latin, which is another framework that the Bible was written in, the language that the Bible was written into. But who the hell is King James? And who? No, seriously.
And why we got to go off his version? Right.
Who, and if you study, enough, the council at Nicaea or whatever, that they came together to determine which books went in and which didn't. And I'm not saying that the Bible isn't ordained or breathed the breath of God, but within that, it's like the literal.
But you got to take it with a grain of salt.
You have to.
And I said that one time. I can remember saying that one time to somebody because they were trying to use the Bible as justification for something ridiculous. And I was like, you going off the Bible? Like, and everybody, I was just like, listen, you got to take the Bible with a grain of salt, yo. Like, it's a reference.
And yet you
and
use
a guideline,
it every day.
But it's a reference and a guideline, and it provides great inspiration. And I just leave it at that. But I'm curious enough to understand that if something ain't sounding right, then maybe I need to go do a little bit more research, or maybe I'm just going to reject it outright. You know what I mean? Like this, there's no way these words can apply to this time. Some of the stuff in there, is just not applicable to this time. So you can, in good conscience and with common sense, sort of just put that to the side. You know what? I'm going to wear leather and polyester together because I can.
So
some stuff and some other stuff you do take and internalize. And like I said, at the end of the day, it really is just those two commandments. Everything else is kind of ancillary, to be perfectly honest.
I agree with you. Actually, I agree with you. And I don't know. I think I knew I was going to agree with you when we first started talking. I knew that. So I used to study Revelations. I was obsessed with it, actually. No, really.
Revelations is scary though.
Is it?
It's just if you read it as is.
Yeah, no. I get to the house of Laodicean or whatever, because you were neither hot nor cold, I will spit you out of my mouth.
Oh.
Yeah, like you're lukewarm. Like there's the seals opening.
Oh yeah.
And then the plagues
and
come.
then all the eyes on the beast and all this, and
and then there's a little
from
head
the east and the west and the
and the Gog and Magog.
Yes.
And I got caught up in, and I spent like my 20s trying to figure out the Antichrist, because I remember like when I was a kid, people thought it was Reagan because his name was Ronald Wilson Reagan. Now it was 666.
Oh Lord!
So we were all trying to find out because the omen was out.
Somebody shaved the back of his head.
Yeah, let's see if he's got the 666.
Seriously.
And I think we get so caught up in that literal thing that each period has an end time. Like I just look at, like right now, I think we are in the end.
Absolutely.
In some end times.
Yep.
And I'm looking forward to it.
Yep. Because we had our run. And we mucked it up.
Who's we?
Humans.
So what's coming next? What are you saying? Technology?
Who knows? What did the dinosaurs know what was coming next after them?
Oh, wait a minute. You liken it to that?
We had our run. To everything there is a season. Now that's in the Bible.
That is just making so.
And we have a season, just like everything else on this planet had a season.
I see it a little differently. I don't think human beings are going to cease to exist.
We may evolve in some way.
Have you evolved already? Look. All right.
That's a good question. That's a good question.
Because I think I have.
And we may actually rely on technology to help us evolve and last longer.
So you're saying the Earth? I think the Earth is going to shake us off because
like a tick.
She's like enough.
I'm sick of y'all.
Yeah.
Exactly.
All right. Well.
And we'll try to get to Mars or wherever we going think we gonna go, but
All right. Last question, Steph, because I just want to put the toe in the water.
Okay.
If you could, wave a magic wand or pray for something, as it relates to God and religion and how we interact with it, what would that prayer look like?
Help people see. Because I all through the Bible, people had prayed for God to soften hearts. Everybody had a hardened heart. Who was trying to get David out of David's son and all these other people. Saul before he became Paul, you know, and everybody prayed that God would ease their hardened hearts so that they might see. And I would love for that to happen for all of us.
Do you think that's possible?
I don't think so, because this world, this is Satan's world. You know, this is not God's world. And there are literal demons walking around on this planet right now. So they're not going, their hearts aren't going anywhere. So it's not going to happen for everybody. But for those of us, you know, that can be touched, I would pray that we were.
Well, first of all, thank you for joining me today. I appreciate the discourse, you know, because
this was a fantastic conversation.
No, it's just we're scratching the surface, but you know, I agree with you about the demons, which sounds crazy to somebody listening right now.
Hey,
but there's a part of me, Steph, that I feel like I just had a conversation with somebody. They were in literally in a room where they could feel, you know, and they felt like they were battling, and I said, well, this is a battle.
There's a reason for
there's
that.
A spiritual battle.
Exactly.
We're not fighting human beings. We're fighting spirits. And I said, but I feel so strong that you can bring 1,000 in legion, and we got this. Like, I feel like the tide can turn.
Right.
Like I actually do think that we can combat this.
And I try to maintain that level of hope and optimism. I really do. That's why I pray every day. That's why I'm in this Bible every day, so I can strengthen myself in the word for this battle, because it's coming, it's here, and those of us that are of faith, we have to strengthen ourselves for it. You know, I think this was one of the ways. I just got this year.
Oh, okay.
So it's
that
a cross,
says faith,
and it says faith. Yeah.
Yeah, that's very pretty and elegant.
I need to carry it with me wherever I go.
That's powerful. Well, I thank you, and I just also want to say, you know, there's strength in us. Two or more gathered.
Amen.
I want to continue to be gathered. So thank you for being a part of our family.
Amen.
Appreciate you being here today, talking about this in the hub. Steph Humphrey, Stephanie Humphrey. You can follow her at Tech Life Steph everywhere you can follow her. Thanks for being here.
Thank you for having me.